don't know why Xbox and the UK and the CMA have to do this so early. As the first thing I do, I wake up as I see this article. Some pretty big breaking news here for the Activision Blizzard acquisition. I haven't even drank a coffee yet. But let's just get into it. Let's read what's going on, because there's a lot of knee-jerk reactions going on Twitter, on X, whatever it's called, in terms of what this deal means. So Microsoft and Activision Blizzard are restructuring the proposed Activision Blizzard acquisition to appease the UK CMA regulators so that they can get this deal approved. Microsoft put out this article here. Brad Smith, the vice chair and president, explains what is going on here. And basically, I'll quickly break down before reading through this that they are going to be giving Ubisoft the rights to license out the Activision Blizzard catalog games for PC and console on whatever streaming services, cloud streaming services they want to do that. It's not going to change anything for the consumer. It's not going to change whether games come onto Xbox Cloud Gaming. All it's doing is giving essentially more choice to consumers, because Ubisoft is going to be sending these games out to even more cloud streaming services, which at the end of the day, if you're just here for the games, you're just here for the best places to play, no matter where you want to play, all of that type of stuff. This isn't too bad of a thing. From a business perspective, if you're looking at this from a Microsoft and Xbox side of things, you're just thinking, why do they have to pay money to license their own first-party games? That's definitely a fair question. Now, let's read through what Brad Smith says here in this release. It says, in January 2022, Microsoft announced the proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard to advance our goal to bring more creative and innovative games to players everywhere and on any device. Today, we are taking another important step regarding this transaction to address the concerns about the impact of the proposed acquisition on cloud streaming raised by the UK Competition and Markets Authority. We are restructuring the transaction to acquire a narrower set of rights. And that's the thing right there. It's just a narrower set of rights where they are going to be not having full control as to where they're going to be licensing out Activision Blizzard games and on what cloud streaming services. This includes executing an agreement effective at the closing of our merger that transfers the cloud streaming rights for all current and new Activision Blizzard PC and console games released over the next 15 years. So this is a 15-year deal to Ubisoft Entertainment, a leading global game publisher. The rights will be in perpetuity. As a result of the agreement with Ubisoft, Microsoft believes its proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard presents a substantially different transaction under UK law than the transaction Microsoft submitted for the CMA's consideration in 2022. As such, Microsoft today has notified the restructured transaction to the CMA and anticipates the CMA review processes can be completed before the 90-day extension in its acquisition agreement with Activision Blizzard, which expires on October 18th. So they got to make their decision here, whether this is acceptable or not, by October 18th, because that's when the extension ends. And at this point, if they don't agree to approve this deal, I have no idea what Microsoft is thinking, what they are planning on doing. I guess they'll go ahead to continue with the appeals process or something along those lines, or maybe they just decide, hey, we're pulling out the UK because these guys are crazy. We've done everything that we possibly can to get this deal approved, even as far as giving licensing rights for cloud streaming services to another major publisher in the video game industry. It says, under the restructured transaction, Microsoft will not be in a position to either release Activision Blizzard games exclusively on its cloud streaming services, Xbox Cloud Gaming, or to exclusively control the licensing terms of Activision Blizzard games for rival services. And again, this is specifically for cloud gaming. There can still be launches of Activision Blizzard games that are on Xbox Game Pass that don't end up on other subscription services, at least for being downloadable. They could maybe end up only in the cloud streaming part of those services. And when it comes to cloud gaming, Microsoft has definitely looked at their numbers. They are adjusting the way that they are seeing the future of cloud gaming. Although it is a huge part of the ecosystem, and I think it's great to allow people to play wherever they want. I think it will continue to grow, especially once it gets more stable. People can easily access these games on their phone, not really have the game breaking up or being too laggy and all that type of stuff. I think it will continue to grow, but we've seen the numbers that have come out in this acquisition in the courts that it's a very small percentage of people that actually use cloud gaming, and it's a very small percentage of people actually within Xbox Game Pass that use cloud gaming. So they're probably looking at this and thinking that for them, this is a way to get this deal through and create more business opportunities for these first party games that they still own going forward to get onto more services. It says the agreement provides Ubisoft with a unique opportunity to commercialize the distribution of games via cloud streaming. The agreement will enable Ubisoft to innovate and encourage different business models in the licensing and pricing of these games on cloud streaming services worldwide. Now, the question here that a lot of people have, and I think it's a very valid question, is where is this deal being affected? Is this only in the UK? Is this in the EU as well? Is this in the United States and North America? And it seems like this is going to be a worldwide thing, like they say here. Like this is going to affect cloud streaming services really no matter where you live. If you live in the US, Ubisoft is still going to be making those decisions. It says Ubisoft will compensate Microsoft for the cloud streaming rights to Activision Blizzard games through a one-off payment and through the market-based wholesale pricing mechanism, including an option that supports pricing based on usage. It will also give Ubisoft the opportunity to offer Activision Blizzard games to cloud gaming services running on non-Windows operating systems. So right there, they're addressing some of the major concerns that the CMA had, which, I mean, we do look at what Xbox was planning on doing anyways with these games, of them trying to get these games out anywhere. It wasn't really a very valid argument, but the non-Windows operating systems was something that they brought up. That's completely been solved now with this here, because Ubisoft is going to have that choice to put this anywhere, and they're not going to be able to say that Microsoft and Xbox are trying to only make these games available and where Windows is, to try to bolster their Windows division and all of that type of stuff. And it will say that they can't say that Xbox, Microsoft aren't going to license these games out, for example, to PlayStation for streaming, because now Ubisoft has that choice of whether they want to do it. And Ubisoft is going to be a publisher that wants to make as much money as possible. They are going to be licensing these games out to PlayStation Cloud because that's what they've always done. They're multi-platform. They understand that that's the best way for them to make money in this business. And the more people that get these games onto their cloud streaming services, the more money Ubisoft will make. And at the same time, the more money Xbox, Microsoft will make by more people playing their first party games. So it is definitely a deal that I think, although odd that they have to do this, where the CMA is really the only one that is still trying to block this deal because they are going through the appeals process. The FTC lost in court. I feel like there's no way that thing isn't going to be approved. But it is showing that they are making every move possible to appease the regulators, and potentially maybe for future acquisitions down the road where they can say, look at all the times that we've worked with you and made all of these changes, so that in the future, maybe it's an easier process for acquisitions. It says, of importance, Microsoft's obligations to provide cloud streaming rights in the European Economic Area remain in place. In full compliance with Microsoft's commitments to the European Commission, this agreement with Ubisoft has been structured so that Microsoft will still acquire the rights needed to honor fully its legal obligations under its commitments to the European Commission, as well as its existing contractual obligations to other cloud game streaming providers, including NVIDIA, Boosteroid, Ubidis, and Enware. Microsoft is engaging closely with the European Commission to support the EC's assessment of the agreement and confirmation that the commitments remain undisturbed. So that's key as well in the EU, that the agreement with Ubisoft has been structured so that Microsoft will still acquire the rights needed to honor the previous obligations. But going forward, it looks like Ubisoft is still going to be able to license these games out to other cloud streaming services in the EU. So since our initial announcement with Activision Blizzard in January last year, we have endeavored to earn the regulatory approval for this transaction, addressing concerns when raised, including by entering into binding legal commitments to bring Call of Duty to rival consoles and Activision Blizzard games to rival cloud streaming platforms. As a result, the transaction now is in a position to move forward in more than 40 countries. We believe that this development is positive for players, the progression of the cloud game streaming market, and for the growth of our industry. And as we continue to navigate the review process with the CMA, we remain as committed as ever to bringing the incredible benefits of the acquisition to players, developers, and the industry. Today's development brings us one step closer to bringing the joy of gaming to players everywhere. So, I mean, there you have it. Specifically, what does this do? Because like I said at the beginning, there are a lot of people right now freaking out over what this deal means, and does it affect Xbox Game Pass? Are you not going to be able to play these games on cloud streaming, Xbox Cloud Gaming? Are you going to have to pay for 2 subscriptions to be able to access Call of Duty or something like that on Xbox Cloud Gaming? Like, you'd have to buy Xbox Game Pass and by Ubisoft Plus? And the answer to all of that is no. All this is affecting is the business side of things. As a consumer, the reality is this kind of makes it even more consumer friendly than it already, in my opinion, was, where now these games are going to be everywhere on more cloud streaming services. There's no way that they're going to be held back. Not that I thought that they were, but if you're somebody on PlayStation or something like that, like there's an even higher chance that these games are getting onto the PlayStation cloud streaming services. So I don't think this in any way affects the gamer per se in terms of where you're going to be able to play these games and where you want to play these games. If you're on Xbox Game Pass, you're on Xbox Cloud Gaming, you're still going to get access to all of the Activision Blizzard games on that service. It's crazy that they're having to continue to make these huge concessions even after all the other concessions that they have made specifically just to appease the CMA. And now the CMA has the 90 days to go ahead and, or before the end of the 90-day extension, October 18th, to decide what they think, whether they want to go ahead and approve this deal. So we will see what happens here. But essentially, I don't think this is a bad thing for gamers overall, because it's not really changing anything other than more business deals. And as we know, Ubisoft and Xbox already have a great partnership with Ubisoft Plus on the Xbox platform. They've worked together in the past. Maybe this will end up as some crazy workaround where Ubisoft officially becomes just a part of Xbox Game Pass or something, and then it's even better for the service. We don't know, but I just wanted to get this breaking news out here. Sorry if it was a little bit not as clear as other videos, as it is first thing here in the morning. I haven't even drank my coffee. But if you did appreciate this video, you did like what you saw, please consider hitting that subscribe button and hit the like button, and I will catch you guys in the next video.